And welcome to the first edition of the 941 Sports Zone High School Edition. I'm
Yeah.
Spitz. He's John. Let the games begin, Missoni. And certainly Venice did begin on Friday night, at least in the kickoff classic. We've got some news about them as well. They have found an opponent for Booker, and it's going to be quite the bus ride. So we'll kind of talk about that and more. We'll recap.
That's me.
Week.
Bus
Yeah,
rider.
that's you. Good.
I should have been my middle name. Bus rider.
Yeah. Now, I also saw that game's starting at 6 p.m., so you guys got to really get there early. So that's
that's when you leave on Thursday.
I got you. All right.
Yeah.
And we'll recap all of week 0. The teams in the Sunshine State Athletic Association actually began their regular season. We had 3 regular season games over the week, and we have a very special guest, Emma Moon, sports reporter for the Herald Tribune. Emma joined us for our high school football preview back in late July. And Emma, thanks for joining us.
Of course.
All right. Let's begin with the games from week 0. And our game of the week last week was Welland Park in Northport. And I got a chance to watch the entirety of that game, thanks to the good folks at Vibrant Aspect Media. Northport scored first. Welland Park scored 45 after that, guys. And the thing that struck me about that game, and I know it's a kickoff classic and all that, but I was stunned at the athletes that Welland Park actually had on the field. They were better, in my opinion, athletically than Northport. And a lot of times, Northport is usually the more athletic team on the field. Let's start with you, Emma.
Yeah, so I didn't watch the game in length, but I read about it and saw some clips, and I was also very impressed. I don't think that's what you think you're going to see from a high school making their game debut, making their school debut, but they looked solid for a team that, is making their historic debut. Noah Wireman had 191 yards. He was 7 for 14. And I know Welland Park started off with a muff punt, but from there they were as solid as you could expect from a team like Welland Park, and even more so. So I agree. I was very impressed, and I thought that they were way better than many would think heading into week 0.
John, the thing that impressed me, and we kind of talked about this last week when we previewed the game, they didn't have spring game. They didn't even have spring practice. They started June 1st. And for them to look the way they did with only not even 2 months under their belt in practice says a lot about Coach Heyer and the gang and the job they did getting them prepared.
Well, I'll tell you the truth, Rich. I'm surprised, but maybe not from the way you think I'd be surprised. I'm surprised at Northport. Okay, I thought that they were going to be, just like you said, from having the continuity of the coach being there for a couple of years now, Coach Gales, and having again more time to prepare in the spring and everything else. I'm not surprised that the quality of coaching and the quality of player that Welland Park was able to get. Obviously, a lot of those coaches came from a branch of the Venice football family. And so they knew each other's jives. They knew what they were looking to do. I think they definitely had a plan. Now, their other surprise is, I'm not surprised they had talent. I'm not surprised they had good coaching. I'm surprised they were able to execute it, because that's the part you say, hey, you can be a talented person. You can have all the great plans in the world, and you could be ready to, you think you're ready to go. But when those lights flip on, it's a different story, and it's a step faster. And it's always a different feel when you're going live like that. So I'm surprised at Northport not being as maybe prepared and or as polished as I had expected. But I'm also very surprised that Welland Park was able to execute the plan as they did. 45-7. I don't care what game it is. It's week 0, week 102. That's a blowout, and that's a heck of a statement to make.
Yeah, 5:19 to go in the third quarter when the running clock started. And if you would have thought there would have been a running clock in this game, you would have thought the Bobcats would have put the running clock on. But the other thing that was kind of disappointing to me was the lack of discipline of Northport. And I know that's something that they've dealt with a lot in their history. And it really was evident Friday night. They had a lot of major penalties. And, Coach Gales has got some work to do, Emma.
Yeah. I know they have a young quarterback in Cameron Wilson. He had 159 yards and 1 touchdown. And I know Coach Gales has talked to me specifically about this season really being a story of how well he responds to adversity and being able to battle, and that those will be lessons that he takes for the rest of his life. So I think we'll kind of see, as Gail said, whether he can respond next week and kind of get Northport, past a 1-win season and maybe better build on last year.
No question about it.
And Rich, when we picked the game as the game of the week, it was because of the uniqueness of the situation. I thought one of the things is I didn't see it. I was being told about certain things, but it probably was the biggest crowd that we've seen for a week 1 game or week 0 game in a long time too. The proximity of Welland Park to Northport and to Venice as well is very close now. And so you're going to you might see when those teams play again, or you're going to see big crowds. But I think having a big crowd and having a great game as well will definitely bring the support out for a new program. I think that's going to do very well for them.
Yeah, their side was jam-packed. Northport had pretty good representation at the start of the game, but obviously as things went along, it thinned out a little bit. So there's your game of the week recap. John, you were at Powell Davis Stadium in Venice. Business as usual for the Indians. I know Gulf Coast, I saw that on the schedule, and I'm like, that could get ugly. It got uglier than even I thought.
Yeah, like I said, it's coming from the guy who called the game. I don't know what I talked about everything. Whatever came up, but I mean, Venice is looking good. Depth that maybe that some people were concerned about regarding with the Welland Park situation. His kids are going to school there now. But there was depth on both sides of the ball. I thought the skill positions were phenomenal. And again, young guys. Probably the standout player was a freshman, Mike Blakely, who did a fantastic job. 4 touchdown catches in a new position for him as a slot receiver. They just want to get him on the field because he's probably going to be a running back as time goes forward. But he's a heck of an athlete. So yeah, that being the case, and everything was sort of on course like you'd expect it to be. 72-7 is never fun, from a spectator's perspective, and you sort of wince a little bit when another score happens. But again, it's second, third stringers, it's whatever's going on. So you got to let the game run its course, and that clock only goes so fast. You can't make the hands go faster. It's a second at a time, and then there's timeouts being called. I'm like, why would you call a timeout? Keep going, Yeah. But nonetheless, I think it was a rough blow for Gulf Coast. But for the Indians, it obviously sets them up for this week with a little positive feedback.
The one position that I was kind of interested in, and you and I talked about it too when I was down there, the quarterback position. Talk to me a little bit about what happened at quarterback, and is it going to be the same this week? I know you have the coaches show with Coach Peacock tomorrow night, which you can watch on Thursday night on Vibrant Aspect Media. But talk to me a little bit about the quarterback position, because obviously that's something that's got to be not fixed, but certainly when you have 2, you usually have 0.
Patton and Polly, let's call that's what they were. You got your junior and you got your freshman. Each one of them had a sort of an unlucky interception when they got started. And after that, it was smooth sailing. Noah Patton looked like he was a little bit more. He hasn't played a lot of football. He's on the bench at IMG, and so he's got to play. He's got to get his reps in there too. But he seemed to get his footing. It's always funny. He got his footing when he ran the ball a little bit, when they had some design runs for him. Sometimes it takes the nerves out of it a little bit. So I saw that with him and the young kid Polly. He looks the part. Arm strength for a 9th grader is, it's there. He's got a package. He threw a couple of throws where you had to put some touch on it, and the right arc on it, to Blakely, one in the short corner of the end zone and one in the back of the end zone, that were just spot on. So I would suspect that if you're looking at it from the perspective of performance, I think they were equal parts what you would expect out of them. But I think that if I was going to look into my crystal ball, I would say Noah Patton will probably get the shot at it because he's got the more experience with the system.
Knowing Coach Peacock, he will sprinkle in the other quarterback, though. I don't think there's any question about it. He's a guy who will tinker and will have a package or two for him too. So that's
no doubt.
Certainly to look forward to. And where are you guys heading this week, John?
Oh, we're going to. I don't know. I've been saying it wrong or right. What comes first? Whatever this whole thing, but it's the school is Nakusi. I think I'm saying it right. Rabun Gap.
Yeah,
and it's Rabun with RABUN hyphen Gap. It's right near the Georgia North Carolina border. They are a state champion in 24 in the state of Georgia for their classification. Just looking down seeing some clips in the newspapers and everything else where I've seen that this is a team that doesn't lack Division I talent. 4-star defensive tackle going to Notre Dame, and other players as well. I don't know for sure, and I don't want to make it sound like I'm trying to define what the school is, but I really believe this is sort of one of these like academies, if you want to call it that, where you're going there and you're probably paying to go there. And it looks like we've got some looks at the campus, looks really nice. So I think that's where they're at. And in those particular cases, those are schools that you can sometimes find a quick matchup where you can get into something because they're looking for games, because sometimes they're not the most schools their size that don't have the talent they have really don't look forward to playing a team like that, because they know that the talent's going to be maybe superior to them. So we'll see. I know I'll hear tomorrow night at the taping about this team and what to expect. But from first glance and first conversation, they said we better strap it on and we're ready to go. So we'll see how that turns out.
And that doesn't surprise me from Coach Peacock. I know he really, the Booker game was one of the games he looked at when the schedule came out. Win that game on the road, that gets you one nugget towards that Elite Eight, or what are they calling that again? I never remember.
Open division.
Open division. Thank you. By the way, Venice is 16th starting the season. I think that's definitely attainable if they win. The two other out-of-state games. So they got 3 games, literally, that are ginormous games out of state. It's interesting how the FHSAA will look at them too. Emma, you schedule as hard as you can. I know Coach Peacock has said that since the first time we had him on in 2007, and I know that's something that Venice likes to do. The fact that they were able to get this game on such short notice, I think, says a lot to the athletic program and, Coach Peacock and Larry Shannon, the new AD there.
Yeah.
So, all right, Emma, you were at Eyrig Field, Sarasota, and Hillsboro. We also looked at that as a pretty good tune-up. John has been high on Sarasota. We've been doing this podcast. By the way, our first anniversary one comes up after this of the regular pod, and he has been high on Sarasota the entire time. And from what you told me before while John was trying to fix his technical problem, they've got themselves a quarterback there.
Yeah. I'm high on Sarasota as well. Head coach Amp Campbell's high on this team. He told me preseason that he'd be shocked if this Sarasota team doesn't have a winning season. It would be their first winning season since 2021, I believe. And I think they owe a lot of that to Hudson West. He's a 3-star junior quarterback. He's about 6'5", so he's everything size-wise that you'd want in a quarterback. And he had a great night. I think it's everything that people thought how he would perform heading into the season. He had over 300 passing yards. He had 3 passing touchdowns and 1 rushing touchdown. And along with him leading the charge, I think there are just so many pieces around him that maybe Sarasota didn't necessarily have in years past. I mean, namely Evan Larrick. He just received his 10th offer, I think to FAU, but he has Arizona and a couple other schools that are in that mix. And he caught a 68-yard touchdown. He had a couple other great runs. So there's Evan Larrick, Jaden Rivers, Jaden Montgomery. They're all people that Amp Campbell pointed out on Friday night, along with their running backs too. I mean, Cameron Houston and Daryl Yarborough, they really showed out the first few plays of the game. It was very run heavy, and Cameron Houston had a 10-yard rushing touchdown. So I think for the first time in a long time, they have this excellent quarterback, but they also just have so many weapons that they can use. There was a couple spaces where they definitely needed to clean up, a lot of penalties, I think over 100 yards in penalties, and their defense struggled a little bit. There was some tackles that definitely needed to be made that weren't, but I talked to Coach Campbell about it, and he said that they missed a couple practices last week due to weather, and he thinks that there are things that can be cleaned up heading into the regular season. So, yeah, I'm high on Sarasota. I think they'll definitely have a winning season, and I think a lot of that will be because of their offense. And if you can say this about any team, but if truly with Sarasota, if they have their offense rolling, they play clean football, and their defense is, even just an average defense day, I think that they can do big things this season and maybe go further in the playoffs than they have before.
My enthusiasm for Sarasota came from last year's game, because watching West throw the football, that when you first saw it come out of his hand, you went, ooh, like that was like, okay, didn't expect that. He can change his arm angle a little bit. He's got a little bit of that going for him. He just didn't have a lot of help last year. Got the ball quick out of his hands. And so there was a little bit of trouble. They lacked a little bit on the two front lines last year, and sort of got overwhelmed near the end of it. But I think Sarasota, Riverview, and Venice, obviously in that 6A, that district in this area, the last couple of years we've talked about, hey, Riverview Venice is the big game. No, there's going to be a couple of big games, because you're going to have Sarasota Riverview, which is always a big rivalry, but you're going to have Riverview and Venice, Venice Sarasota, you name it. Those three games now are going to compile a very good district winner, and I believe based how they do the playoff system now, that even with that, I wouldn't be surprised if three of them are in the playoffs. From the region, because I'm not sure how strong the region is at this point, but that remains to be seen. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm definitely behind them for sure. And Hillsborough, that's a perennial power in Tampa. They put a lot of kids in the D1. They've been playoff bound and gone pretty deep into the playoffs. So no slight on the opponent either. They played a very good opponent for the kickoff classic.
Yeah.
The quarterbacks were the obvious story Friday night in a lot of games. By the way, Emma, let's plug the Herald Tribune. The 6A 12 preview is out actually on your digital editions. When does it come out in print? Tomorrow?
Should sometime this week.
Okay.
I should be more familiar with the print side of things, but digital mind these days, guys. Yep.
Yeah,
that's what we all are. It's
Yes.
always reading the newspaper like this.
Yeah.
So that's what we do.
The other quarterback that was really impressive was Florida State commit Logan Flaherty, who ran wild against Riverview. And again, that's no slouch. These two teams played a great game last year. 50-49 was decided on the last play of the game, going for two. Another really good game. Flaherty, 4 touchdowns, all on the ground, including a electrifying, and thanks Chuck Bolero for providing the video, an electrifying 76-yard touchdown run in the fourth quarter that basically iced the game. Port Charlotte kept Riverview at bay, never really trailing in the game, and they got up a couple of scores. Riverview scored late. Both teams have to be happy with portions of the game, but certainly Flaherty shined on Friday night for Port Charlotte, and they played without their best receiver. The Florida commit did not play in that game.
Right. Emma, I have a question for you, because he brought up Flaherty first, but I've never seen a bumper crop of quarterbacks, Division I quarterbacks, like I've seen this year around our area. Just unbelievable to see that they got a 4-star in Flaherty. I think Wes is going to become a 4-star. Don't get me wrong. I think this season is going to bring him up there. Anybody else that pops off the page for you as far as quarterback that's got offers? Because I know there's a lot of them, and some young ones too that are just going to be making their headway here shortly.
Yeah, I mean, Davin Davidson, you have to mention him.
Absolutely.
He's a Florida commit senior. I'm trying to think who else, but I mean, those are the top three, I would say. Nolan Downs did not have a great night at Manatee, but he's a sophomore quarterback that I think will have better days ahead, and he has 12 offers maybe. So he's not ranked yet, but I think he will be. So I think those are the two others that come into mind. But like you said, I mean, there is a bunch of arm talent and quarterback talent in this area.
No doubt about it. And I'll tell you, you mentioned Noah Downs, but it's Mason Sumner. That was who was the Booker quarterback who's now at Southeast. I think he had offers for sure. Anybody who's going to quarterback in Coach Sanders' offense at Palmetto is going to get a look somewhere as well. And then of course I'll say this: Riverview's got somebody that they're liking right now. I know that. And again, the Venice quarterback, whoever that turns out to be, or if it's a shared position for a little while, it's going to be there as well. So there's a lot of it's a little top heavy, but the teams we just rattled off are teams that are probably going to be playoff bound or potentially will be playoff bound. And coach and quarterback, they're locked together as far as the success is concerned. So we'll see how that all plays out. But again, we'll see a lot of what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Palmetto. Matthew Hennessy is their quarterback. Definitely want to mention him. He threw for over 2,000 yards last season. So that's a big guy who just shows the quarterback talent in this area when you can maybe there's a guy who threw for 2,000 yards that's underrated. So he's a big name too.
Absolutely right. And that's what I mean, because you can go down the list and you got to say you sometimes, I'll say this, sometimes statistically somebody doesn't pop off the page, but normally when a good quarterback and a decent offense, and again, Palmetto's got great athletes on the edge for him as well. I know they have a couple of running backs too. So and I think they're playing some defense at Palmetto as well. If I'm going to add to my favorite list, they're one of them as well. And the team we just talked about, Port Charlotte. Port Charlotte, there's a building to getting to a state championship. I think Port Charlotte has got the pathway and the players to do it. A solid, very, very well thought of coach, a quarterback who can do like he did last night, run for 4 touchdowns, but he can also probably throw for 4 whenever needed to with his 4-star wide receiver in Elias Pearl, him being there as well. So he's got it all put together. Defensively, that might be the one thing but sometimes when you've got that type of offense, and I'm forgetting about Bruce Blandon.
Yes.
Bruce is a unbelievably big running back. I believe I saw a number, maybe I missed it, but I think he ran for over 190 yards in the game.
196. Yep.
Yeah. So again, put that all together, and they played Riverview. Riverview is a line of scrimmage team. They've always been that way. Coach Christiani, he's a weight room guy. He's a weight room junkie. Trust me, I know. Real quick, we were on our annual trip, and Coach Christiani called myself and my brother over and said, "Hey, we're gonna split some logs. You want to help me?" I'm like, "Sure." Next thing I know, we're just watching him split logs with his bare hands. I'm like, "Nope. I'm going to go have myself an adult beverage and watch you do this because I'm not helping you." But Mark's just that guy. And so to see them, the defense, the struggles as they did with the running game between what Blandon did and what Flaherty did is surprising, but it's surprising because of Riverview. But if that's where they're headed with this, I'm telling you, they've got a pathway. I think last year got them to believe. And now I think they've got to execute the plan like Welland Park did.
Yes, there you go. Emma, we talked earlier, you're heading to Cardinal Mooney this week. My partner correctly on the show last week basically called that game because last year Aquinas and Mooney played, I believe, a 1-score game in the kickoff classic. And he said, listen, Cardinal Mooney will give Aquinas the attention that they need. That score shocked me. 49-0. They came ready to play. They did not want to have a similar situation as last year.
Yeah, it was a rough night for Mooney. I think there are a couple things. I think Aquinas is simply that good. I mean, we work with USA Today, and Aquinas is our number one team in the state.
Mm-hmm.
They are just that talented. I mean, they have so many Power 4 commits, and to the powerhouses of the sport. I mean, Notre Dame, Ohio State, like they have it all. They have the number one recruit in the state. So I think that was at play, that they're just facing that good of a team. But I also think Mooney had some uncharacteristic nights. I mean, Davin Davidson, he finished or completed. He went 3 of 22 for only 19 yards.
It was stunning to see that there was that many. I mean, I'm sure there were some drops in there, but that just stunned me to see that. But you know what happens is when St. Thomas is as good as they are right now, and trust me, I've been there. I've been in that pressure cooker that St. Thomas brings to you. Boy, they put pressure on you from every place you can imagine. And if you're a quarterback and you haven't had guys flying around you at you think you get the ball and turn around as a DN in your back pocket. They're like that. And now they're saying, I saw a little blurb that said, is this St. Thomas Aquinas' best team ever?
Wow.
That's saying something. In 2016, when we played them for the first time, they had over 40 guys that were getting D1 scholarships on their roster. 40.
Yeah.
And it was like the third stringer had a D1 scholarship. So they that in their world, how they conduct their business at St. Thomas, they go in waves. You know, they have a big year and then they go back and down, because there's always like this year down in Miami. As I'm looking and reading, Miami Carroll City is the flavor of the day. A lot of schools, a lot of players are going there, whatever the reason is. So, but when Aquinas is the flavor of the day, which they are this year, look out. That's going to be a real tough to be ranked over IMG. That's a talent versus talent situation, and they're saying no, St. Thomas is more talented than IMG.
Yep. I'm excited to see what they do this season and how many points they put up this season, because I feel like it's going to be maybe record breaking. I don't know how they judge those things, but I'm excited to see what they do this year.
Hey, Rich, I got a question for you.
Yep.
Well, give us the Lemon Bay update on what happens for them on Friday night.
Yeah, they struggled early in that game. Hardy scored 20 points in the second quarter. They led 20-0 at the half. Lemon Bay finally got their sea legs. Problem was they couldn't stop Damian. I think his name is Damian Wilson. 280+ yards rushing, 3 touchdowns. Hardy's got some serious talent. They've definitely upgraded things. And that was a regular season game. The teams that are in the SSAA actually played regular season games. We had 3 of them. Hardy winning 41-20 at Lemon Bay. Also, Out-of-Door Academy with an impressive victory over Indian Rocks Academy. That's usually a very good team. That's a nice way to start the season. And Sarasota Christian, remember, they were last on the docket with us. They took care of Gateway Charter 50-0. Go ahead.
Do either one of you get Coach Ben's email that he said he sends out? I don't know if I'll see.
You'll need to start forwarding it to me there, bud.
So it's always good. He throws statistics out and everything else. But the one thing that stands out, that's why I wanted to say it, 6 total yards for the other team. The defense stood out. They only had 6 total yards. And he made sure that was the emphasis on his email. But again, they talking to him, and he talks about his time in Texas, and he's an offensive-minded guy, likes to toss the ball around here and there. New quarterback for the first time in a lot of years at that there. So looking forward to following him, because it's a fun guy. And by the way, all the SSAA guys are really, really the enthusiasm they have for everything. They get Division I players. People think that they don't, and they do. There's talent at these games. St. Stephen's with a big blowout win this week. Yep. So they had another one as well. So good for them. And then the Classical Academy didn't start play yet, but we'll keep an eye on the 8-man football with them. But all those teams off to pretty decent starts, and glad to see that Coach Ben is up to date on his Saturday morning emails out to the folks he's got in that group chat. I'll try to get you guys hooked up.
All right. By the way, got to give a shout out to our friends at Carroll GMC who sponsor our podcasts now.
Look, I got the shirt on today. I represent.
Yes, you do. You're repping. I repped a couple of weeks ago.
Billboard.
Yep. Sales, selection, experience, what car buying should be. Who can make you drive with a smile? Carroll can. Of course, they're located on the beautiful island of Venice, and they were our host for our high school football preview for the John, was that the third straight year? I know it was at least two because I was okay. So one year that I wasn't even there. So got some sad news before we preview next week. And unbelievably, folks, we're going over. We're already at half an hour, but we've got a lot to talk about. Some sad news out of Palmetto. Athletic director Brian Wilkes passed away unexpectedly at the age of 63, a Southeast graduate who is credited for starting the wrestling program at Palmetto. He had his footprint on both Southeast and Palmetto. So those communities are obviously grieving. It happened, I think, Thursday or Friday of last week. And I never got a chance to meet the guy, but what I'm reading, man, this guy really put his stamp on things at both schools.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes, Rich, I don't know, but anything that's close and at a young age like that, it's a tough pill to swallow for that whole community. So send up some good vibes that way. Hopefully they can sort of recover from the tragedy like that and keep on that path. So good for, hopefully that works out.
All right, games of the week. We're this week. Our game of the week.
Real quick, I got one thing I want to do real quick. Just kind of real fast, some of the games we didn't mention real quick. Palmetto 37 to 27. Wait, let me see. I'll get it. I got to get my glasses out.
37-6
over Lake Gibson. Lakewood Ranch with 35-6 over Moorhaven. Braden River with a 28-28 tie, I'm assuming there with them. So those teams, and the Parish Community St. Pete game, I didn't ever get a final on that. I'm not sure what happened with that. So I didn't see, but my point is local teams have fared well, less than the ones that played each other, but they fared well in the Kickoff Classic. So we talked about talent, we talked about quarterback, we talked about coaching. Hey, it's always about team. So the teams look like they're off to a good start, and that makes it a lot of fun for you, Emma, because you can pick the game you want to go to, and it'll probably be a good one when everybody starts piling on, especially in these districts. The two big ones are obviously the 6A district and the 3A district with all those local teams. Boy, I think there's going to be a lot of really good games with a lot on the line each and every week throughout this season.
Yeah, I'm very excited, especially the 3A 12. I'm excited to cover and just can't wait to get to the later weeks where things start. Not that they don't matter now, but when their teams are really fighting for it, so to say.
Yeah, and that 3A, everybody thought it was going to be a Booker Cardamone situation, but obviously with Booker, that's not the case. But
Southeast,
I think a lot of other
don't
schools,
sleep on Southeast.
No, listen. I tell you why, because Coach Kurt Bradley has been there, man. He knows what to do. He gets it. He gets the rivalry. He gets all of that stuff. He's got himself a good quarterback right now. He's got talent on that team. So yeah, but don't forget. I saw Bayshore didn't have a good week, but guess what?
Well, St. John's Newman's really good. Yeah.
Yeah. So so again, and everybody knows it's St. Thomas that beat Mooney. They understand that, but there's film now. You know what I mean? You don't recognize that once somebody figures you out and it becomes it's there. They're like, oh, here's a problem. Here's what we can do. So I'm not saying it brought Cardamone to the pack. I think it's made them feel like they're closer maybe than they thought before that Kickoff Classic.
Yeah, and I think with the Booker situation, it's sad in a lot of ways, but also it's made every other team maybe a little more interesting with all the players that have left. Just think of Palmetto. I mean, they have Malik Lee, 4-star defensive lineman, and Kamani Sellers as well as some others. So it's made it was already interesting, and now it's even more interesting, I feel like.
Oh, Emma, no, it definitely is. Yeah, definitely.
Emma, what's the latest you're hearing? I know you guys have been reporting on it a lot. There's a lot of conjecture, is the former coach under investigation? Is he not under investigation? we were kind of talking about this when they started canceling games at the beginning of the year. John even brought up, I think it was last week. It wouldn't be surprised at all if they had to torpedo the entire season, which is what they had to do.
Yeah.
What are you hearing on the ground there?
Yeah, as far as Carlos Woods goes, the former head coach, everything we've been hearing and what we talked to the Sarasota Police Department, he is under an active criminal investigation. They've only provided one statement and haven't updated it since late July, where again, he is under criminal investigation. It has nothing to do with any wrongdoings towards the students. And that's all they said. They said they received news from like an outside agency, but they wouldn't confirm who that outside agency is. So the criminal investigation, while active, is still very much under, at least for us, kind of what's going on. Same with everyone else in the media who I've talked to is just still trying to figure out exactly what he's being investigated for. The number still is over 21 players have left the program, which resulted, as you mentioned last week, I believe on Wednesday night, Principal Jamal Crook announced that they would not field a varsity team and instead would only have JV. And they had kind of like an impromptu media availability, press conference on Thursday that I went to with the new head coach Lance Holtke and Jamal Crook. And they kind of talked about the future of Booker football and what that looks like. But definitely what I take from it is that it will take a while for them to rebuild and kind of get back to the powerhouse that they've been over the last 3 seasons. I mean, the last 3 seasons they've made the state semifinal. And of course, it's just sad for Booker. And I know a lot of parents have seen that kids are still out Booker and can't play football. It's left a lot of kids without a team to play on or the team that they wanted to play on. And then we also kind of wrote a story on how it affects other 3A12 teams. And you have Bayshore, and I know Venice for a minute was looking for a game. So you just have these area teams also impacted and maybe scrambling a little bit to find a match somewhere in the season that Booker kind of left a hole in. I don't think they'll be get in trouble by the FHSAA for not playing those district matches, at least on the FHSAA level. I think their district opponents could maybe say some, as far as we know, like could do something or take it to the FHSAA, but the probability is they won't. So I think they won't have any punishments or like probations for not playing those district matches this year, because it comes down to all they have right now is underclassmen. They don't have enough players, so it comes down to safety issues. So I think nobody in district is kind of taking that out on them. And as far as the FHSA goes, we were contacting them and trying to figure out if there's anything at that level. And all they got in trouble for, I say all, but all they got in trouble for was they allowed 8th graders to practice in the spring with upperclassmen, and they were fined like $500. And Carlos Woods was not going to be able to coach in the preseason game, but of course he was dismissed before he was able to serve that. So that's kind of the general update, but it has been a interesting off season, I would say, just following that and still following that. So we're kind of seeing what's left of Booker at this point.
Yeah, those message boards are
it's sad, but it had to happen at this point.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. There's people that want answers, and right now everything's kind of clammed up. Hopefully, we'll get the truth at some point.
Yeah.
So,
I'll try. I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Well, listen. We listen. They've got it as buttoned up as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Between the athletic director for Sarasota County and everything else. I mean, somebody's going to have to say something at some point. This is just not going to go away. So, all right. Game of the week this week, John. You and I have decided it's Lakewood Ranch at Parish Community. An interesting Manatee County game. Lakewood Ranch
rival. Yeah, definitely there. And I think looking at both teams, I mean, Lakewood Ranch is going to have their hands full with the district they're in, but Parish last year, a little disappointing in the playoffs. That we thought they had such a really nice season that they were looking to get on a roll. They played great defense, which obviously wins championships, and it just sort of fell apart on them a little bit. So I look at it and say that they got a new coach. And I think, from on the staff, so I think they're going to be a contender as well. So figure we get them on there and see how both teams do with the first game of the year.
All right, some other games. We mentioned the Rabun Gap Nakuchi. Is that how you say it? Against Venice game.
Nakushi.
Friday night at 6. Riverview at Naples is another interesting game. Naples is always a power in Collier County. So Riverview, start with Port Charlotte, go from the frying pan to the fire, taking on Naples. Sarasota at Bayshore. That's an interesting game because, again, can Sarasota follow up? Can they follow up their win against Hillsborough? And can Bayshore get things on track? Again, St. John Newman, that's a power. Again, a small school down there. It's like a football factory. So you watch the film and you hopefully get better. Palmetto, Clearwater Central, Catholic's another
that's another
extremely interesting game. CCC is always tough, especially at home. So Palmetto's got to go up there and take care of business. Palmetto's, again, one of those teams that we've all talked about that could make some serious noise when we get into the playoffs. They had a kind of a disappointing end last year. Thought they would make it further than the regional semifinals. Welland Park, now going to step up. Cape Coral Mariner was a district champion last year. So we're going to see truly what the Eagles have. They've got to travel to Mariner for that game. Northport is at IMG State. That's a Thursday night standalone game. I'm kind of nervous for that. I think IMG was 10th in the state. The state team was 10th in the state. This could be a real rough go for Northport. Port Charlotte at Cape Coral. Fort Myers and Charlotte. That is a long time, huge rivalry. It's interesting. Charlotte's schedule, and they lost to Bishop Verot. And listen, Bishop Verot is going to be very, very good again. They lost to Bishop Verot. But Port Charlotte bookends their schedule. They open with Fort Myers and they close with Charlotte. I know, talking to Coach Ingman, he didn't like that. He wanted to play them earlier in the season, but you can understand Charlotte doesn't want to play two non-district games that close together with those type of rivalries. That's kind of tough.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Rich. And real quick before I forget, I know I made a couple little predictions. I'm going to kind of whisper a little something in both your ear. Welland Park in an upset.
What?
Potential.
Wow.
I'm just saying.
Somebody's Park drinking the Kool-Aid.
No. I just have a sneaking suspicion. If it wasn't in the air that I hear about, I think that there's something that might be. We'll see how it goes.
If it wasn't
just saying,
district champ from last year, I might be on board with you because, again, I was impressed how athletic they were. This is a definite step up. We'll know a lot more about Welland Park around 11 o'clock Friday night for sure. A couple of the other games, Port Charlotte is at Cape Coral. I mentioned that earlier. Babcock Ranch has to go to Outdoor Academy. Oof. That could also be a very rough game. Pasco at Braden River, another very good game. Pasco is always tough up in Pasco. They're going to travel down to take on a Braden River squad that should be improved this year. Emma, you mentioned you're going Berkeley Prep Cardinal Mooney. That is a game that's always, it seems like they play every year. Let's see what Cardinal Mooney, see how they rebound. That'll be a very, very interesting game, and I'll be following you on Twitter with the accounts and descriptions of that game.
Yeah, very interested to see how they do after last week.
Wesley Chapel at Southeast, another district champ. Southeast, it was funny because we talked to Kurt Bradley, and Kurt said, last year we scheduled soft because we're trying to build the program. Now I stepped up the schedule because I think we have the build, we have the athletes. He impresses me. He really does. He gets how to build a program. This is the third year, and Southeast, I look for big things from them. So
yeah, I agree. Kurt Bradley, every time he's come to our media day, very articulate. He has a very sort of, I don't want to say measured, but he forms his thoughts very carefully. He's a measured guy. And I think that bodes well for him because I don't think he loses it in the context of the game. I think he's sort of a cerebral assassin in some way, but he does a good job. And, Southeast, that program it's just due to be good again. It was such a powerhouse all through the 80s and the 90s, and even further than that, with Coach Meckley being there for so many years. But no, I think they're going to be one as well. Last year we made prediction about state champions and whatnot. I just think it's going to be a heck of a lot of teams in the playoffs. I said 3 out of the district from this in the 6A classification, but no doubt at least 3 from the 3A district. There's a District 12, Emma. That's what it was.
Yeah,
for them.
6A12 and 3A12. It's kind of easy to remember.
Yeah,
yep.
Exactly. But nonetheless, I think they're going to be battling it out. So I think it's going to be interesting.
Sarasota Christian is at Canterbury. Should be an interesting test. The Classical Academy is at Riverview Academy, and Manatee. They have been very ambitious. Jacques Green has been very ambitious with the schedule. They make a trip to Tampa Plant. That's another perennial power, and we'll know a little more about Manatee coming up next Friday night. Other than the game you're covering, Emma, what stands out to you as the game you want to see? At least you want to. How do I want to put this? What game interests you the most, other than the game you're covering?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with what y'all said about Lakewood Ranch and Parrish. I think Parrish having a new coach will see how he does. I know I've talked to him preseason, and he's said that he's building on Dylan Clark's success, who went 25-7, I believe, in 3 seasons.
Yeah. Yep.
So they're building on Clark's success, but he's going to add his own style. He said the defense will be different this season. Didn't go into too much how it will be different, but said it will be a new style, and that he's very excited about the offense as well. And then I think Lakewood Ranch, Moorhaven, I believe they defeated Moorhaven in the preseason 35-6.
35-6. Yep.
And I think, that was more than what maybe people were expecting. So I think Lakewood Ranch is going to be possibly more challenging than people give them credit for. And I know Coach Paravicini is they've had a couple guys transfer in and out, and he spent the offseason refocusing the team is what he told me. And they have a couple guys. I know they have a running back, Eldrick Berry, that Paravicini's pretty high on. He had a successful season last year. So I think they got a couple guys that maybe could give Parrish a challenge, or at least make it an interesting game with, Parrish being new and seeing what they're going to be. And then Lakewood Ranch maybe, being more challenging than people suspect. So that's definitely a game of interest for me.
No doubt.
Well, guys, we certainly do appreciate it. Emma Moon, Herald Tribune sports reporter. Got to have you on again, Emma. You bring the knowledge. We certainly do appreciate you taking
Emma,
the time to join
we'll drag
us.
it to the regular podcast next time, and we'll talk some Tar Heel basketball. How's that sound?
Please.
Oh, we got a Tar Heel in the midst.
Yes, I graduated from UNC, so please, I will speak openly and candidly about UNC athletics.
Or better yet, UNC football.
Yeah. What is going on there?
I might say some nasty things about that. I might say some nasty things.
You might
about UNC football. Yeah, but
we get a little off color sometimes, so we're good. We'll see. We'll get you going. No doubt about it.
Awesome.
Emma, thanks. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
And there you have it, the 941 Sports Zone High School Edition #1. John, went better than I thought. It zipped by, and yet we've almost done an hour just on high school.
Well, it's funny you say that. You think to yourself, can we do a half an hour? No, we did 48. So it's like, but I think we all, Emma is obviously, you hear
she's
her.
Plugged in.
She's got off the coaches and the players. That's what you want to hear, because for as much as we do around town, I don't know everybody's name. You know what I mean? I'm more of a big picture person with that kind of thing. But I love that she gets into the nuts and bolts of the things and the players. And look, I think the one thing, other than the results and certain things that are going on, I really think I'm pushing this angle this year with these quarterbacks. Okay. Because I've never seen kids that can throw and they're polished. I mean, West last year was a sophomore, and I'm like, I know he's gotten taller. He could probably put on 50 more pounds. At
Mhm.
6'5" with that arm, and you put a little weight on him. Hello, Josh Allen Jr. You know, I'm not a big Josh Allen guy, but I'm saying the
Yeah.
body and the type, and he's got a great release, quick release. Seemed like he had a flair for the game. And Am Campbell, that's the perfect guy for him. You know what I mean? So I just really think that this quarterback scenario, I think Flaherty is going to have one heck of a year. Player of the year, like player of the year kind of years, like in the state kind of thing. So you can see that happening as well. Sometimes when you have that kind of a setup, let them go. You know, let them be what they're going to be. And sometimes you'll see fantastic results. And I think Port Charlotte will see that.
Like you said, the receiver doesn't play, so they run for over 300. I mean, and again, that was no slouch they were playing. So, certainly looking forward to seeing them. Cape Coral's unfortunately on the train tracks next week for Port Charlotte. That game could get really ugly. John, have a great trip up to northern Georgia. We'll look forward to your report next Monday. Of course, we'll have our regular podcast as well. Look for it along with this high school football podcast. We're going to split them up every week.
The regular podcast might be a little shorter.
Yeah, might be. As a matter of fact, I was kind of filling in some blanks here, and it might be around the same time. We'll have to wait and see. But.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, John, again, thanks to Emma for joining us. Fantastic job. We'll see you on the other podcast. If we're live, we're going to have it in just a few minutes. If not, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, artist formerly known as Twitter, now X, Instagram, everywhere. Consume us. Give us some feedback. We'd love the feedback, positive or negative. We're big boys. We can handle it. So
no doubt about it.
Yep. So look forward to it. All right, John. Number 1 in the books. Number 52 coming up.
Anniversary.
Yes. Have a good one.
All right. See ya.